It's a legendary apex predator.
He's really biting down now.
An ancient giant from Australia, caught in the crossfire in a war over water.
Keep coming up.
Keep coming up, keep coming up.
Wow! That was a powerful fish.
A monster from down under, the Murray cod. I've come to the Murray-Darling River system in Australia. Home to some iconic species. And the country's largest true freshwater fish. A monster growing up to 1.8 meters and 113 kilograms. An aggressive predator with a voracious appetite, rumored to eat anything from birds to possums and even its own kind. I'm Dr. Zeb Hogan. I travel the world to study and protect the world's largest freshwater fish.
I want to find out if this fish still grows to monstrous proportions and if it truly is king of the river.
I'm heading to the Edward River, one of the Murray River's 10 tributaries and a popular fishing spot, to find out why anglers from all over Australia travel here for a chance to battle with this monster. To do that, I need to catch one. But it won't be easy. Current populations are just 10% of what they were 200 years ago.
Hey guys.
Jamin.
Hey Jamie. You guys ready?
We're ready to go.
Okay.
Let's do it.
I've teamed up with some guides who help anglers catch Murray cod.
You ever had someone catch a big cod and just cry, just break down?
The typical reaction is the shot of adrenaline that people get. They just get this huge shot of adrenaline and they go into almost shock. They go all white, they got to sit down, all shaky in the knees.
I'm looking for snags, or submerged logs. A vital part of the Murray cod's habitat, they provide food, shelter, and breeding grounds.
Need a little bit more skill than most of the fishing I've done. So quite a bit different than bait fishing, for example, where you just cast out a bait, let it sit, and wait for a fish to come bite it. Really need to be able to target specific areas where the cod are likely to be hanging out.
He's underneath that log, so you want to keep it parallel without touching the weed or anything like that.
So will you cast right over?
Very close to them. We've got to work on your casting styles, Ed.
I haven't mastered it yet. But John's a pro.
Come on, come on.
John?
Come here. Got a Murray cod right under this log here. It's bigger than I thought. Come here. Nice yellow color. Really good color. Bright, dark green. He's a fatty too, huh?
Cod are sit and wait predators with large eyes that enable them to see in dark, murky water. Rarely venturing far from their snags to feed, they wait for food to come to them.
Great catch. He's got my thumb pretty good here. I'm gonna.
There's the flick of the tail.
Nice one.
Well done.
And they keep coming.
What do you guys have?
Got a nice little Murray cod.
Oh, that's a good looking fish. Look at that. Oh, the colors on that thing. And you can see the fish, its big eyes, it's checking me out. And the eyes are on the top of the head, and so a lot of times when these fish attack, the lure or the fish will be coming along, and just the fish just comes up from the depths and engulfs the prey with its mouth. So why is it that people come out here? I mean, what gets people excited about fishing for Murray cod?
It's that anticipation. We've just been fishing for, you know, a few hours, and you're waiting, and then just crack, poof, I'm on. Yeah. And
you have a fish.
It doesn't get much better than that.
It's cool. It's a violent strike.
Yeah.
They really want to kill it. If they don't get it in their mouth first time, they'll circle it like a shark, wait till it get the right orientation, boom,
Bash it
and
again.
just suck it in. Yeah, they're just a great fish.
I think this fish ready to go back. Do you mind if I release him, John?
Absolutely.
Just pull him forward just gently, and you'll see his fins go.
There you go. Yeah. Nice catch.
The thrill of the Murray cod's forceful strike makes it a holy grail for anglers here. David and Jamin have told me about one place I'm guaranteed to see that famous strike up close. Scientists at a local research station have allowed me to conduct a test on their resident Murray cod.
Now I've designed a little experiment to test another reason why Murray cod might be such an effective predator. I have a camera here that shoots at 1,000 frames per second, and what that will allow me to do is see the strike in extreme slow motion.
I'm using a yabby, a small freshwater crayfish.
I've backed away from the tank. So far, he doesn't seem that interested. The fish is swimming around the tank, but it hasn't approached the bait yet.
I wait for hours, and nothing.
A lot of fish, in order to feed, they can't be disturbed. And I mean, any fisherman knows it's not always easy to get a fish to take the bait. I'm having some trouble right now.
This center has 40 fish ponds on site, some with very large Murray cod. Maybe the bigger fish will be more aggressive. I've set up the camera on a gangway used to feed the fish, and I'm dangling the bait just above the surface.
They're down there. That was a powerful fish. It took all day, but I think I did get a few good strikes. So now I want to play back the clips and see what we have. Wow. Ah! They just come up to the prey, come up to the fish, open the mouth, which creates suction. Wow. And all of the water flows into the mouth along with the bait, and then they snap their mouth shut. It's pretty incredible. Just looking at this, I can see just how fast they're able to strike.
Murray cod are fiercely territorial and exceptional ambush hunters. Two traits that could mean the species rules these rivers. But so far, I've only encountered a big one in captivity, and that was nowhere near the 1.8 meter monsters I've heard of and was hoping to find. I'm moving to the Murrumbidgee River, another tributary of the Murray, to join some researchers on an electrofishing expedition. Big fish are more susceptible to a current passing through the water, so this could be the perfect opportunity to find a monster. Ian Wooden is conducting a survey of what native fish eat in the river. And it could give me the clues I need to find the big ones. These two arms pass up to 1,000 volts of electricity through the water.
Basically, the gloves and rubber boots are just secondary insulation.
But obviously,
We don't go putting our hands in the water. No.
Yeah, right.
So we've set the boat up, the anodes are out. We've got a large generator at the back here and a control box that'll help manipulate the current.
The way we're going to be fishing today is by passing a current through the water, and that electrical current is going to temporarily stun the fish. Now, hopefully when they're stunned, they'll pop up on the surface of the water around the boat. We're going to scoop them up with these nets.
This is an efficient way to catch all species in the river, and if done correctly, is non-lethal to the fish. Once we get a selection of fish, we're going to pump their stomachs to see what they've been eating. This information may lead me to the best place to find big fish.
Got something.
Finally, a fish floats to the surface, close to the boat.
What do you got there?
Trout cod.
It's a cod,
This is
but not the right one.
endangered species. And so this is a species of fish. It's closely related to the Murray cod.
Yes, very closely related
A little
to Murray
bit
cod.
smaller.
Don't go quite as large, slightly different habitat characteristics.
It's not a Murray cod, it's a trout cod.
We pull in more trout cod,
Another one further in too.
but no Murray cod. And then I see a bad sign, a carp, a non-native fish that has invaded these rivers, competing for the same food and spawning sites as the cod.
How long have carp been in the system?
Quite a long time, but it wasn't until 1970s when a couple of different strains of the carp crossbred, and then they were quite successful here and bred throughout the whole river systems.
And carp are winning. When it comes to sheer biomass, native fish just can't compete. This could be why I haven't seen a single Murray cod yet. I'm beginning to think it's the carp, not the Murray cod, that rules these rivers. We move to the base of one of the Murrumbidgee River's 9 dams. Murray cod migrate upstream to spawn, cued by floods, rising water temperatures, and longer daylight.
So we're trying along the banks here in the hopes that we're getting fish that are moving upstream, but they get blocked by the dam. There's a fish right in front of us. Looked like a Murray cod. A fish maybe a foot and a half long, and it was stunned.
Hey, forward, forward.
Got something. It's like a little Murray cod. We're getting some fish now. Murray cod. They seem to be in here, in these reeds.
I bring in 3 more Murray cod.
So this is the largest Murray cod that we caught. And now we're gonna pump its stomach to see what it's been feeding on. This one has something, it looks like it has something in its belly.
So we don't stress the fish more than we have to. We anesthetize it with clove oil, a natural toothache remedy for humans.
So I'm just gonna insert this small tube up into the fish's stomach and flush the stomach out by pumping water into it, and hopefully it'll regurgitate anything that it's eaten recently. Some shrimp.
By finding out what native fish are eating,
Murray fish.
we understand the ecology of the species and how they interact with each other.
It's like a fried egg.
Yeah, it looks like a little frog or a
Little grasshopper maybe? Or?
grasshopper or a little cricket. Where the remains of this fish here, there's a bit of a vertebrae there. I'd say it's a jawbone, bottom jawbone.
Next up, the trout cod. And it looks like it's eaten even more recently than the Murray.
This fish has really been feeding shrimp, crayfish. Look at that.
So it's what we call yabby or freshwater crayfish.
Yeah, I mean,
Quite-
this fish
quite
really
full.
had a full stomach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, at least a dozen small shrimp, freshwater crayfish. Is that typical?
We have a crayfish that we call a lobster. It is a Murray spiny crayfish.
How big do they get? Bigger than the fish we caught.
Bigger than the fish we caught, yes.
But and large Murray cod will eat those spiny lobster, or?
Oh, most definitely,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
While these aren't the big fish I'd hoped to see, they did give me some important clues. If I can find an area with lots of giant crayfish, they may lead me to huge Murray cod. I'm following the Murrumbidgee River for an hour upstream to a secluded fishing spot called Rocky Waterholes.
Now that I know that shrimp and crayfish are important food items for Murray cod, I'm going to meet up with a crayfish expert. The logic is the rivers around here support big populations of crayfish. They might also support really large Murray cod. Hey guys.
Good morning, Martin.
Hey, good to meet you.
This is Les.
Les, how are
Hey
you?
Les, good to meet you.
Pleased to meet you.
And just
Martin Asmus and Les Rava are studying the giant spiny freshwater crayfish. They are one of the largest freshwater crayfish species in the world. Catching some big ones today could mean there are still some big Murray cod out there. Martin shows me the art of crayfishing.
These are the traps here,
yeah, there they are.
and this looks like the bait.
Yeah.
What do we got?
So we've got
Carp?
European carp, common carp. So you can use all manner of bait, but carp seems the best.
So these are kind of like a hoop trap, or a...
Yeah. So
Let's see what it looks like.
pull a double hoop. So that's just on the bottom. So that
Oh,
one goes-
okay. That's just part of it.
Yeah. And so that sits on the bottom like such. Cray walks in, and you lift him up.
Oh,
Got to pull them
interesting.
pretty quick.
Yeah, so once we get out there, really pull it quickly.
You need to pull them quick once the cray's on them, because they move very quickly. They'll back
Oh, okay.
up.
We're dropping 7 traps in a row onto the riverbed, 6 meters below the surface.
Oh, right, I get you. Okay.
We'll leave them for about an hour, long enough for the crayfish to find the bait.
So as soon as you get onto the rope and grab it, don't sort of play with it, just we need to get it up as quick as we can. He'll just pull up alongside it. Yep. Grab it.
Grab it now.
Yeah.
And see what we got. Come on, crayfish. Ah! Nothing.
You got to grab it.
Ah! Nothing. Well, I'm afraid I'm a jinx, so why don't you try this one? Hey!
And we have a Murray cray.
I was a jinx. Look at that.
It's the biggest crayfish I've ever seen.
It's fairly small to what we can get.
This isn't a big one.
No.
But it's still worth a closer look. Every part of its body is covered in spines. It's going to take a really determined and well-adapted predator to eat these guys.
One of their main predators is Murray cod. And I suppose it's just an evolutionary defense, I suppose, against those big fish.
Mm-hmm. So could a cod, a big cod, take a crayfish this size?
Easily. A medium-sized cod will take a cray that size.
That's equivalent to a 40-centimeter cod eating a 20-centimeter crayfish.
That's incredible.
Sure.
The biggest crayfish Martin has ever seen weighed over 1.5 kilos and was the size of his arm. If Murray cod can eat a monster spiny crayfish, it could mean that they are the top predators here and the river's reigning giants.
See if I got something. Check it out, with a piece of fish still stuck in its mouth. Now that is a crayfish. Is that a pretty good size one?
That's a better size.
Yeah.
It's still got its tail tucked in there too, Zeb. So we might even had a buried female here. They'll tend to protect the eggs
Oh yeah, you
underneath.
think this could be a female? Let's check it out if I can. Look at those claws. Come on, lady, let go. Check that out. Oh, filled with eggs.
This female is in berry, meaning she's carrying hundreds of eggs. Crayfish carry their eggs for up to 6 months until they hatch. The size of the crayfish and whether or not they're carrying eggs are both indicators of how healthy the population is.
Yeah, I just wonder if these freshwater crayfish used to be more abundant. I've heard stories of people going out and being able to catch 100 or 200 crayfish in a day.
Yep.
That's a lot of food.
There's a perceived decline in both numbers and in sizes, and that's shown in looking at old data as well as new data. Slightly bigger.
There's a big one. Let's see if we got something. They're huge. Look at that. Oh, it's enormous. Yeah, nice.
We've been out all day, and we've only caught and processed 10 crayfish. Even though we got a female, the size and number is less than expected.
We have the information that we need?
We do.
Okay. Just gonna let her go on this log here. Let's see what she does. There you go, little girl. Murray cod is not the only big predator in this system. There are huge freshwater crayfish that are an important food resource for Murray cod. Unfortunately, in some areas, the crayfish are getting smaller and less abundant.
But it's not just crayfish populations that are suffering. I haven't seen any large Murray cod in the wild. Martin tells me a clue to what's happened to the legendary giants could lie in one man's family history.
In wet gum leaves and wet hessian sacks.
This is Rob Corey. His family started the first commercial fishing company on the Murray River in the 1860s.
This water right here in front of us, normally it would be a pool, and this is where your ancestors kept the fish that they harvest?
Yep, my great-great-grandfather dug this pool out of here to hold the fish that were caught until such time as they had a quantity to take to the market then.
Do you have any sense for how many fish they were catching in terms of numbers or tons?
Yep, the tonnage from around 1864, I believe, was around 140 tonnes.
140 tons
for that year.
In 1 year.
That's right, yep.
When were these taken?
That's about 1965. That's taken there of a fish that looks to be 70 to 90 pounds, I'd guess. Could be close to 90.
That's a good sized cod.
Yep.
Hearing the stories of commercial harvest of Murray cod here, 150 tons of Murray cod from this stretch of river, and then seeing these photos of 50 years ago of what was, obviously a very good catch, a lot of fish, a lot of big fish. It makes me excited to hear about, but it makes me wonder if there are any big cod left in the river now.
I'm driving 3 hours away from the plains, up into the hills. Rob's told me about a lake where crayfishing is prohibited. A place with plenty of the Murray cod's favorite food could be harboring some giants.
Just last year, someone caught a 1.5 meter Murray cod from this lake. So today, I'm going to be teaming up with some anglers to see if this is the spot where I'm going to get my big fish.
But the weather is not on my side. Australia has been enduring a devastating drought. Now, the heaviest rain in over 10 years has arrived, and the water in the reservoir has risen. More water means more places for the fish to hide. While it's great news for the fish and people, it could spell disaster for fishing. Wayne Lennon, a fishing lure designer, has been angling for over 40 years. And this spot is his favorite. There's a method to catching big cod, and it starts with the lure.
So the lure is shaking quite a bit. This is a lure that's specifically designed to catch Murray cod, right?
That's right, yeah. It's a big, wide, flat lure, and the reason for that is that the cod attacks the lure from underneath and will suck it in. So you need that big, wide body to give them something to actually inhale.
As it's pulled along behind the boat, the rattle and swinging motion should attract any monster cod lurking below.
Quite often you'll hear of people catching a Murray cod on a lure, and they'll get it to the surface and it'll have a duck or a water hen in its mouth, as well as the lure.
How will I know if I have a cod?
It'll probably pull your arm off.
Wayne's father told him how they used to send divers into the lake to do maintenance on the dams.
And they'd have to send them down in a cage because the Murray cod down there were too big. They were frightened that they would eat some of the divers.
Though none of them were ever attacked, the cod's aggressive attitude still makes it a top predator in these parts, and a favorite target for anglers.
And I've seen that hit from a cod where it's actually turned someone around in the boat.
We fish late into the afternoon. Not a single bite. It's getting cold and the fish are less likely to feed in colder temperatures. With the bad weather here to stay, we give up. I'm heading back to the research center. This could be my only chance to study a big Murray cod. But I may have trouble getting near. This cod is notoriously aggressive.
I'm at the Fishery Center Aquarium where they've had a big Murray cod on site for the last 15 years. And I'd like to use this fish to test something I've heard about Murray cod behavior. These fish apparently are highly territorial. I want to see how this fish responds to me in its territory.
Agro is the center's oldest resident, a 15-year-old, 1 meter long Murray cod. The staff say he usually attacks when they clean his tank, so I'm going to see how he reacts to the sponge in his territory. Murray cod are so territorial, they have been known to kill other fish in their tank.
Oh, he sees it immediately. He saw it immediately, attacked immediately. He wanted this out of his tank. Very territorial. Especially the larger fish, very big mouths, very quick. They're big predators. They like to protect and defend good territories in the river.
It's feeding time, a perfect opportunity to find out just how aggressively Agro feeds. On the menu is a giant spiny crayfish. Their spiny armor is no match for the cod's bony jaw.
The cod is attacking, and I could hear it. I could hear it from up above, the crunching sound.
I've just got word that scientists at this research center have caught a giant Murray cod, and they're holding it for me. This is my chance to finally study a monster. I'm helping scientists tag this Murray cod to gather important information about how far they migrate and where their spawning sites are. This can help ensure native fish populations are self-sustaining.
In order to get the fish out of the pond, we're gonna have to lower the water, get into the pond, wrangle the fish, tag it, and take it to the river.
I'm going to wait until the water is shallow enough for me to corral it into a corner and grab it.
It's just hard for me to believe that a fish over 1 meter long is somewhere right in front of me. Could really freak out when I get to it, and so it might just try to swim right through me. I think I just felt something. There's something down there. Oh shoot. There he is. I got him by the mouth now, so he can't. Oh, he has some teeth. No, he just got a hold of my finger pretty good. Biting down now. Come on. Ah! It has a very large mouth and pads of teeth. See, look at that. Hundreds, if not thousands, of very sharp teeth. It can open up its mouth, engulf prey, swallow prey whole. I mean, a fish this size could easily eat, you know, a prey the size of my forearm or my fist. I feel lucky to get a chance to see such a big, healthy fish. This cod could be, I mean, anywhere between 30 to 40 years old, as old as I am. So it's pretty amazing to get a chance to see a fish like this, a beautiful fish. Into the car? Hey, you got him? Okay. Oh.
To ensure the rivers are fully stocked with this Australian icon, the Murray cod needs some human help. This hatchery center is where scientists breed native fish to release into the wild. I'm here just in time to release some baby Murray cod.
Hey, Matt.
Hi, Zeb.
Good to meet you.
Matt McClellan is the hatchery manager. This center produces about 500,000 Murray cod every year. Nobody is sure how well the cod are breeding in the wild. So by releasing juvenile fish into the rivers, they're giving the wild population a better chance of survival. Instead of fitting the baby fish with tags, they use a harmless chemical marker, which stains the bones of the fish.
Calcine marking will allow us to distinguish stocked fish from wild fish, so that can give us a better idea of our outcomes of our stocking programs, and also to get an idea of how the fish are faring in the wild.
So just walk me through the process. How exactly is this going to work? Where are the fish?
Okay, first of all, Zeb, we've got the fish over here. We've got about 10 small Murray cod here. Salt water solution, Zeb.
Okay.
If you can pour this into the first one.
It's a 3-stage process. First, the fish go into water with a very high salt concentration.
The salt is dehydrating the fish, Zeb, so that when we shift them across to the calcine dye, then they'll actively suck the dye right back up into their bodies, and that'll give us a really good mark.
They don't look great in there.
No, it's always a bit worrying when you see this stage, Zeb, but it's a very short-term thing, 3 to 5 minutes in here, and I've never had problems with fish not recovering afterwards. And we'll go quickly into the fresh water. Rinse just down, then just back up, drain off, and into the calcine.
Wow.
So we'll shake it off.
There you go, guys.
When the dye is no longer visible to the naked eye, a special flashlight called a fluorometer shows the green stain on their bones.
I've never seen this technique before, and it's really cool. It's very visual. I mean, these fish now are bright green, and it's just seems like a very efficient way to mark the fish that are coming out of the hatchery.
Scientists here have seen clear signs that Murray cod are recovering in the wild, and they believe that restocking could be one of the main reasons.
They're ready for release.
I'm helping freshwater ecologist Lee Baumgartner release the big Murray cod and the juveniles into a remote section of the Murrumbidgee River. Since the small fish are already tagged, I'm going to release them first.
Over the last 30 years, over 12.5 million hatchery-raised, like these little guys, hatchery-raised Murray cod have been released into the Murray-Darling system. And so it's important to mark these fish to try to determine whether or not the recovery of Murray cod is because of hatchery fish that are being released into the system or because wild fish finally have the conditions that they need to be self-sustaining. Adios.
Before I release the big cod, we're implanting a tag under its skin.
So this is a pit tag. It's a microchip, I guess. Each pit tag has an individual number, which allows us to identify the fish at a later date.
The tags are read by monitoring stations all the way up the river.
Where are you going to tag this fish?
So we'll tag this fish in the shoulder, up in this region here. It's an area we know that heals up well for fish.
The tag will stay in the fish for the rest of its life. They could be getting data for the next 20 to 30 years.
I mean, these big fish, Murray cod, one of the reasons they're vulnerable is that they're a very long-lived species. Murray cod, scientists think Murray cod can live over 50 years, and this fish here could be 30 or 40 years old. So I feel very lucky to have a chance to see one of these fish.
Murray cod rehabilitation efforts only started around 10 years ago, and it could be why the big ones are so rare. Despite the success of restocking, there's still a major obstacle in this river. Before I leave Australia, I'm going to follow the mighty Murray River all the way down to South Australia. Lee wants to show me examples of what he sees as the greatest threat to the country's native fish. Yarrawonga Weir controls water flow in times of drought. Engineers have successfully designed a way for fish to cross these giant barriers.
Roughly 10 years ago, some scientists got together and they've constructed a fish lift here that will help fish actually get up over the weir and complete their migrations.
A fish lift?
A fish lift.
How does that work?
So that large concrete chamber over to your left, it fills with water to the height of the reservoir, and then there's an elevator in there which actually lifts the fish up to the top and allows them to swim out.
You see a fish?
It looks like there's at least one large cod in the chamber. We open a gate and confine it to the exit tunnel.
You can see a cod swimming up the top.
Oh, nice, yeah.
The trap there.
Got one.
So,
it's a pretty good sized cod. Should I grab it?
absolutely. There he is.
Oh, wow. Ah, it's a big fish. You want to hold the net? I'm going to try to get in there.
Okay, that sounds like a good idea.
He's going to freak out.
I think we've got quite a few fish in here.
Yeah, I feel a big one. He's right by my legs. Look at that.
Okay.
Oh, it's big. You got it?
I've got it.
Lee adds anesthetic to the water in a holding tank. It's such a big fish, it's going to be safer for us and the fish.
So this fish now, it's starting to calm down. When we first had it in the cage, it had a lot of power.
We're getting a weight, measurement, and fitting the fish with a pit tag.
slide him right on?
So slide him right on, nose up to this end here.
Just about a meter, 93.5 centimeters.
That's just over 3 feet.
So it looks like it's about 13 kilos, 13 or 14 kilos, just over 30 pounds. I'm gonna get the fish back in,
Yes, we better get him back
in the water. Oh, it's heavy.
To keep the water moving over its gills.
Okay.
To make sure it has all its strength back, I'm walking it down the tunnel to the entrance of the reservoir. But it's already stronger than I thought.
They don't have big teeth, but they do have teeth. And this fish, it's getting its strength back. And it just put a bunch of holes in both my thumbs.
As it gets stronger, it's not going to put up with me holding it. I think it's time to let it go.
And right beyond this gate is the reservoir. So he's made it past the weir. Good luck, buddy.
My luck's just got even better. Another fishway has just trapped some really big Murray cod. I want to see if any come close to that 1.8 meter record breaker. Instead of an elevator, this one acts like a ladder, with steps to provide resting platforms for the fish to inch their way up and beyond the dam.
So right here, this is the very end of the fishway, and right in front of me is a cage. It's designed to catch any fish that are moving up through the lock. Now, we don't know what's in here yet, but if we're lucky, there may be some big Murray cod. Let's give it a look. Wow! Keep coming up.
Keep coming up, keep coming up, up. We need to get these fish out quickly, so
push out of here. Okay.
There are at least 3 fish over a meter.
We've got some. Wow. Should we get a length? Do you think this is the biggest one?
it's a big fish.
This is really a fish of a lifetime. Oh, it's incredibly heavy.
Okay.
So we're just gonna put it in the sling.
Okay, so he's 1.16 meters.
1.16.
Yeah, so it's
116 centimeters. Just almost exactly 4 feet long.
We can't find a pit tag in there, so it looks like he's just got an external tag. Yeah, he is.
He's tagged?
He's tagged in the cheek.
Okay.
This fish was tagged in a previous survey, and thanks to the fishways, it's able to move up and down the river.
How long was it? Over a meter. Yep. Is that fish ready to go back? Did you get a length on this one already? 3 fish over a meter? This is 1 meter, 42. So, yeah, 104 centimeters, over a meter long, and we're just gonna put a pit tag in it and an external tag. Ready?
Yep.
It makes sense to me now why people will spend their whole life to have a chance to see a fish this big, icon of the Murray River. It's a beautiful, huge Murray cod. And now it's time for a release. If he realizes he's free, there you go.
In Lee's career, he has never seen so many big Murray cod migrating together. A clear sign of a recovering population.
I think what's happening here can serve as a model for other megafish species. Murray cod were in decline, but the last 10 or so years, people have sort of stopped and taken stock and said, hey, if we want Murray cod in our rivers, we're gonna have to do something to stop the decline. And so what I've learned here is that, everyone's working together, anglers, scientists, managers, everybody doing their part to make sure that the Murray cod is in this river for a long time to come.